Kofi was a poor farmer who worked tirelessly every day to make ends meet. He lived in a small hut with his wife, Oma, and their 3 children. Despite his hard work, Kofi struggled to provide for his family. His farm was small, and the soil was poor. He barely harvested enough crops to feed his family, let alone sell at the market. One day, while walking through the village, Kofi met an old man who introduced himself as Babba. Babba was known throughout the village as a powerful and mysterious man who could make people rich. Kofi was desperate for wealth and approached Babba. "Babba, I'm very poor," Kofi said. "Can you help me become rich?" Babba looked at Kofi with a sly smile. "I can help you," Babba said. "But you must be willing to do something for me." Kofi was desperate, so he agreed to do whatever Babba asked. Babba took Kofi to a secret place deep in the forest. There, Babba performed a ritual and gave Kofi a calabash. "This calabash will bring you wealth," Babba said. "But you must do something to sustain the wealth. Every month, you must suck the breast of a mad woman. If you don't, the wealth will disappear, and you will become very poor and die." Kofi was shocked and hesitant, but the promise of wealth was too tempting to resist. He agreed to Babba's terms and left the forest with the calabash. At first, the calabash brought Kofi immense wealth. He bought a big house, expensive cars, and luxurious clothes. People in the village looked up to him with envy. Kofi's family was overjoyed with their new life. Oma, Kofi's wife, was particularly happy. She had always dreamed of living in a big house and wearing beautiful clothes. But as the months passed, Kofi began to feel a creeping sense of dread. He knew he had to suck the breast of a mad woman every month to sustain his wealth. He tried to ignore the feeling, but it only grew stronger. Kofi became withdrawn and isolated. He stopped attending village gatherings and stopped talking to his friends. He was haunted by the thought of what he had to do every month. One day, Kofi set out to find a mad woman. He searched the village and surrounding areas but couldn't find anyone. As the day drew to a close, Kofi became desperate. He knew he had to find a mad woman before the month ended. As he walked through the forest, he heard a strange noise. He followed the sound and found a mad woman sitting by a river. She was dirty, disheveled, and muttering to herself. Kofi approached the mad woman cautiously. He knew what he had to do, but he was hesitant. The mad woman looked up at Kofi and smiled. Kofi took a deep breath and did what Babba had instructed him to do. As the months passed, Kofi continued to suck the breast of the mad woman. He became wealthier and wealthier, but he couldn't shake off the feeling of guilt and shame. Kofi's family began to notice a change in him. He was distant and withdrawn, and he stopped enjoying the things he used to love. Oma, Kofi's wife, tried to talk to him, but he pushed her away. "I'm fine," he said. "Just leave me alone." But Oma knew that something was wrong. She saw the pain in Kofi's eyes, and she knew that he was hiding something from her. One day, Oma followed Kofi into the forest. She saw him meet the mad woman and do what Babba had instructed him to do. Oma was shocked and horrified. "Why are you doing this?" Oma asked Kofi when he returned home. Kofi broke down and told Oma everything. He told her about Babba, the calabash, and the mad woman. Oma listened in shock and horror. "We have to get out of this," Oma said. "We can't continue living like this." Kofi nodded in agreement. He knew that he had made a terrible mistake by making a deal with Babba. He knew that he had to find a way to break the curse and free himself from Babba's grasp. Kofi and Oma spent many sleepless nights thinking about how to break the curse. They tried many things, but nothing seemed to work. They became desperate and depressed. One day, while walking through the village, Kofi met an old wise woman. She looked at Kofi with kind eyes and asked him what was wrong. Kofi told her everything about the calabash, the mad woman, and Babba's curse. The old wise woman listened carefully and then smiled. I can help you break the curse, she said. But you must be willing to do something difficult. Kofi was desperate, so he agreed to do whatever the old wise woman asked. She took Kofi to a secret place and gave him a small bag of herbs. Go to the mad woman and give her these herbs, the old wise woman said. She will become sane, and the curse will be broken. Kofi did as the old wise woman instructed. He went to the mad woman and gave her the herbs. At first, nothing seemed to happen. But then, the mad woman looked up at Kofi and smiled. She was sane again. Kofi was overjoyed. He knew that the curse was broken, and he was finally free. He thanked the old wise woman and the mad woman and returned to his village a changed man. But little did Kofi know, Babba was not going to let him off that easily. Babba appeared to Kofi in a dream and warned him that he would face consequences for breaking the curse. Kofi was terrified. He didn't know what Babba was capable of. He tried to ignore the dream, but he couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Kofi waited anxiously for Babba's wrath to descend upon him. But nothing happened. Kofi began to relax. He thought that maybe Babba's threat was just an empty warning. But then, strange things started to happen. Kofi's crops began to wither and die. His animals fell ill, and his family's health began to decline. Kofi knew that Babba was behind it all. Desperate for a solution, Kofi went back to the old wise woman. She listened to his problems and then smiled. I can help you, she said. But you must be willing to face Babba once and for all. Kofi agreed. He was ready to face Babba and put an end to his evil schemes. The old wise woman gave Kofi a small bag of sacred powder. Sprinkle this powder around your farm and your home, she said. It will protect you and your family from Babba's evil spells. Kofi did as the old wise woman instructed. He sprinkled the powder around his farm and his home. And then, he waited. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Kofi waited anxiously for Babba's next move. But nothing happened. Kofi began to relax. He thought that maybe Babba had given up. But then, one night, Babba appeared to Kofi in a dream. You think you can defeat me? Babba said, his voice dripping with malice. I will show you my true power. Kofi woke up with a start. He knew that Babba was planning something big. He tried to prepare himself, but he didn't know what to expect. The next day, Kofi's farm was attacked by a swarm of locusts. They ate everything in sight, leaving Kofi's farm in ruins. Kofi was devastated. He didn't know how he was going to feed his family. But then, he remembered the old wise woman's words. Face Babba once and for all, she had said. Kofi knew what he had to do. He gathered his courage and set out to face Babba. As he walked through the forest, Kofi encountered many dangers. He fought off wild animals and navigated through treacherous terrain. But he didn't give up. Finally, after many hours of walking, Kofi arrived at Babba's lair. It was a dark and forbidding place, surrounded by a moat of swirling water. Kofi steeled himself and crossed the moat. He entered Babba's lair, ready to face whatever lay ahead. But as he entered the lair, Kofi was met with a surprise. Babba was not alone. He was surrounded by a group of evil spirits, all of whom were eager to do Babba's bidding. Kofi knew that he was in grave danger. But he didn't back down. He stood tall and faced Babba and his minions. I'm not afraid of you, Kofi said, his voice firm and resolute. I'm here to put an end to your evil schemes once and for all. Babba sneered at Kofi. You think you can defeat me, he said. I have the power of the gods on my side. Kofi smiled. I have the power of good on my side, he said. And that's all I need. With that, Kofi charged at Babba and his minions. The battle was fierce and intense, with spells and counterspells flying back and forth. But in the end, Kofi emerged victorious. Babba and his minions were defeated, and Kofi was hailed as a hero. Kofi returned to his village a hero. The villagers cheered and celebrated his victory over Babba. Kofi's family was overjoyed to see him return safely. But Kofi knew that his work was far from over. He knew that Babba's defeat would not go unchallenged. The evil spirits that Babba had summoned would surely seek revenge. Kofi spent the next few days preparing for the impending attack. He gathered his friends and family and formed a plan to defend the village. The day of the attack arrived, and the village was besieged by a horde of evil spirits. Kofi and his defenders fought bravely, but they were vastly outnumbered. Just when it seemed like all was lost, the old wise woman appeared on the battlefield. She summoned a powerful spirit that chased the evil spirits away. The village was saved, and Kofi was hailed as a hero once again. The villagers celebrated long into the night, and Kofi's family was proud of him. But Kofi knew that he couldn't rest on his laurels. He knew that there were still many dangers lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. Kofi spent the next few months training and preparing for the next battle. He studied the ancient art of magic and warfare, and he gathered a group of trusted allies. Together, Kofi and his allies set out to rid the land of evil. They traveled to distant villages, fighting against evil spirits and wicked sorcerers. Kofi's reputation grew, and people began to call him the hero of the land. He became a legend in his own time, and his name was whispered in awe and reverence. But Kofi never forgot his humble beginnings. He remained humble and kind, always willing to help those in need, and so, Kofi's journey continued. He traveled the land, fighting against evil and bringing hope to those who had lost it. Years passed, and Kofi grew old. He passed on his knowledge and skills to his children and grandchildren, and they continued his legacy. The land was finally at peace, thanks to Kofi's bravery and selflessness. And Kofi's name was remembered for generations to come as a hero who had saved the land from darkness. The end. Moral lessons. 1. The dangers of greed and ambition. Kofi's desire for wealth and power led him to make a deal with Babba, which ultimately led to his downfall. 2. The importance of integrity and morality. Kofi's decision to suck the mad woman's breast was a morally reprehensible act that went against his values and principles. 3. The consequences of one's actions. Kofi's actions had severe consequences, not only for himself but also for his family and community. 4. The importance of seeking help and guidance. Kofi's decision to seek help from the old wise woman ultimately led to his redemption and the breaking of the curse. 5. The power of forgiveness and redemption. Kofi's ability to forgive himself and seek redemption ultimately led to his healing and restoration. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please like, subscribe and share with your family, friends and loved ones. And do not forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section. See you soon. Bye for now.